The Ferrox, available in the marketplace for 150 platinum, is basically another throwable primary weapon, kind of like the Javlock. I'm not sure if these are referred to as javelin weapons. Get it? Javelin? Javlock? Yeah. Or spears, because in the description it says, it's not on this one, it's on the other one, that you can throw it like a spear or like a javelin. I cannot remember which one it says, and more annoyingly, there it is. Yeah, throw it like a spear, but the Javlock is literally named after a javelin. Comparing this to the Javlock, which is the only other weapon of this type, the Javlock is purely elemental, coming in with 185 pure heat damage, whereas the Ferrox has more than that just on puncture damage, as well as an extra 105 on impact and slash. So 350 total damage? That's not bad for a primary weapon. It does have a serious status deficiency. Its reload is questionable. It should in theory be quicker because it's a lower number. But I still don't understand why you've got to reload a weapon you throw. That's always been a weird one. The magazine is bigger. It's a charge-based weapon, as kind of always, but its crit is higher, so this is more of a crit-based one, whereas the Javlock was a status-based one. But on that, its charge rate is much lower, and its accuracy is, well, next to non-existent before putting mods in this. Unlike a lot of other weapons, it does come with a V and a D polarity. The D is not the death sentence it used to be, because with Rivens now being a thing, most of my decent Rivens land on a D polarity, so personally I'm quite happy to leave that there for now, see if I can't get a Riven for it later down the road, and in the meantime I'm quite happy to just throw something like Hammer Shot in there to increase the crit damage. It's already taken it to 4 times the damage and I haven't put anything else in this yet. So the D isn't really that bad. The fact it has 2 is also quite rare, because normally what happens is weapons with 2 or 3 polarities on them, new, tend to be syndicate weapons or prime weapons. So the fact that this isn't either of those and has come with a V is useful to begin with. The D is kind of an added bonus depending on how you're actually going to build this thing. With it being a crit based weapon, it's going to be really hard to mod for. 30% crit chance is pretty high. Obviously the normal crit build is definitely going to find its way in. This all depends on your definition of a crit build. Personally, I would go for something like, obviously Argon Scope, it's on headshot, you get 135% extra crit chance. The normal Point Strike and Vital Sense. Hammer Shot, yeah, that's in there because there's a D polarity, and if you actually use Critical Delay, it does slow the fire rate, but it does take your total crit chance percentage from 30 to 89.4 with a multiplier of 7. Okay, yes, the fire rate has gone down, so the charge rate has gone down. Modding around that is where the big problem with this comes, so dumping the critical delay, you will take it to 75% crit chance. Whether you go for critical delay or bladed rounds, which on kill increases the actual crit damage, is completely up to you. Personally, I went for the bladed rounds just simply because it increased the damage from 7 to just a much, much higher number. I'm only saying that because I'm not really sure what the bladed rounds is. 120% crit damage for 9 seconds. It kind of goes with Argon Scope. One increases crit chance, one increases crit damage. They kind of go hand in hand. And if it already had 7 times, an extra 120% on top of that, when you do actually raid crit, this thing is going to be quite lethal. It's actually like a snare trap when you use the secondary fire and you throw it. Anything within a certain range of it, it's 4 or 5 meter range, will get snared by it and it will slow them down. I did hear that it stops them, but watching them, they just kind of move a little bit, well, actually a lot slower. but they are definitely still moving. And its built-in punch-through on the primary attack as well is really useful on this thing. I like this a lot. Building it for crit was definitely the way to go because it hits and it hits hard. You could, of course, put one of the 120% mods in this and increase the puncture even more. I think it's called piercing caliber. It will increase the damage, but to be fair, even though it's only got really stupidly low status, I did end up putting Rhyme Rounds and Malignant Force on this to put Viral on it, because though it will proc not that often, when it does, it is stupidly useful. And because it has the built-in punch through, it can go through a crowd of enemies through the primary fire. And if I'm honest, even more, the biggest problem with this thing to me was the primary fire. It's a charge based weapon, but once it is fully charged, it automatically fires. You can't hold a charge like you can with the bows. Even the Opticore, when you get it fully charged, you can wait a second or two before releasing it, and that will then deal damage. This thing, once it's fully charged, just automatically released, and there's a few times you will miss a lot of rounds because of it. If you could hold the charge, it would have been so much better. So this was a nice change to a lot of other weapons. The Javlock was fun, but I still wish that it just unequipped your melee, or not unequipped, but when you hit the melee button, when you have this equipped, you use it as a melee weapon rather than swapping to your melee weapon, because the fact that it just looks like a giant pole arm, really, I would just love to be able to use it as a melee weapon. Anyway, we'll leave this off here for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch yous next time.